Stopping Democrat election interference. It's September 5th, 2025, and these are your headlines. The Republican Party of Texas is taking its fight against crossover voting to federal court. Just yesterday, the GOP filed a lawsuit in the Northern District of Texas against the state and Secretary of State Jane Nelson, demanding the right to limit participation in Republican primaries to only Republican-registered voters. Party leaders argue the current open primary system, which allows Democrats and independents to choose a Republican ballot, violates Republicans' First Amendment right of association. Chairman Abraham George said in a statement that in Texas, Republicans and only Republicans should select Republican nominees. Now, this lawsuit builds on Rule 46, which was adopted by GOP delegates at last year's Republican Party of Texas convention, and it was strengthened this year. Requires voters to register as Republicans before casting a ballot. A change made this year placed that responsibility for maintaining those registrations with the Secretary of State. The party's complaint cites races allegedly swayed by crossover voters, including former Speaker Dade Phelan's 389-vote runoff win over David Cuppy in 2024. Republicans also point to a 2024 ballot proposition where more than 72% of Republican primary voters supported closing the primaries. Efforts in the legislature to implement the change failed this year, prompting the lawsuit. Without court action, the party says it will be forced to hold open primaries again in 2026. If successful, this case could fundamentally reshape Texas's primary elections, closing the GOP primaries for the first time in modern history in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott is throwing his full support behind House Speaker Dustin Burrows, formally endorsing him for re-election, both to his West Texas House District and for another term leading the chamber. Speaking at a fundraiser in Lubbock this week, Governor Abbott praised Burrows' leadership, saying that Texas is far better today than before he became Speaker, and adding that he looks forward to 2 more years with Burrows at the helm. The endorsement comes just a couple weeks after Donald Trump called Burrows a true warrior for Republicans. It marks a sharp contrast with Abbott's posture just 2 years ago. Back then, if you remember, he stayed out of Dade Phelan's re-election battle, who was Speaker at the time, even as Phelan faced heavy fire from conservatives, including Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Burrows' own election in January sparked controversy after he secured the gavel with Democrat support, despite the House Republican caucus having already nominated another candidate. Governor Abbott himself had stressed at the time that the Speaker should be chosen by a majority of Republicans. But this week's show of unity, Abbott, Patrick, and Burrows all sharing the stage at this Lubbock event, suggests that the state's big three are closing ranks. Still, it remains to be seen whether Trump's and Abbott's endorsements will calm conservative grassroots voters who still are skeptical of how Burrows came to power in the Texas House.
Real Texan.
I hope you'll sit down with Texas Scorecard every Sunday as we visit with real Texans who are doing real things to make the Lone Star State shine even brighter. We're going to be talking to activists and politicians, but we're also going to be talking with men and women who are shaping business in Texas and driving for a better culture.
Last up, Governor Abbott is ordering the Texas Department of Public Safety to crack down on truck drivers who can't speak English. This move follows reports from a driver's advocacy group that says Texas employs more non-English speaking CDL holders than any other state, putting us out of compliance with President Trump's recent executive order. That order requires truckers to be fluent enough in English to read traffic signs and follow directions, reversing an Obama-era rule that had softened enforcement. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy put it this way: America first means safety first. Governor Abbott echoed that same message in his directive. He said every commercial driver on Texas roadways must be able to communicate clearly in English to prevent accidents and keep our highways safe. Under his order, DPS will review drivers' English proficiency and stop issuing new licenses to anyone who can't communicate with officers. Abbott says it's a zero-tolerance policy, saying it's about keeping Texans safe while also protecting the state's economy. For more of today's stories, go to TexasScorecard.com.